What's going on, guys? This is Anderson with Shoot Center, talking today about how to zero a pistol red dot. Now, this is similar to a video we've done in the past, but we felt like we could have done it to a higher standard. So let's get into it. Now, before you go ahead and head to the range, there's a couple things you need to consider. First, we need to figure out our distance. Now, depending on what kind of gun you have and what you intend to use it for, the zeroing distance you have could vary. So if you're looking for a gun and a red dot that you want to use for home defense or defense out in the world, you may want to consider something like a 10-yard zero that can give you point of aim, point of impact from anywhere from, your close quarters distance from a couple feet to 10 yards, and even a little bit further past that, even to 25. However, if you're someone like a competition shooter and you only do, 25-yard bullseye challenges, you may want to consider doing a 25-yard zero. So depending on your purpose, we need to figure out where we need to zero. Next up, we're going to consider our target. Now, as an example, I went ahead and grabbed the standard target here at Shoot Center. It's a bullseye target with 1-inch increments. Now, this is really going to help us out when we have to consider MOA and make our fine adjustments. We can use these 1-inch increments to really fine tune. Another thing to consider is having something like a pen or marker to be able to mark off the shots. So when you're really getting to that nitty gritty, you can tell exactly where you're landing and what is a previous shot. Another thing to consider is bringing a shooting bag or even a chair if your range allows it. The more points of contact we have, the more we can take the human error out of zeroing. With that being said, let's head into the range. All right, now that we're inside the range, the first thing we're going to do is talk about our dot. Now, there's a lot of things to consider, mainly being MOA. Now, MOA stands for minute of angle. Not to get too in-depth on it, basically, it accounts for 1 inch at 100 yards. Now, most pistol red dots are going to zero in increments of 1 MOA. So that means every time we hear a click as we're adjusting, that means we've gone 1 inch at 100 yards. Now, again, depending on the distances you're zeroing at, that one click could be negligible or it could be a decent amount. For example, at 25 yards, each click you do is going to be 1/4 of an inch. Each click at 10 yards is going to be 1/10 of an inch. The closer and closer you get, the more you're going to have to click the adjustments. Now we'll actually talk about zeroing the optic. We're going to be zeroing at 10 yards today. All right, now when we're zeroing a gun, we want to be as precise as possible. Now, human error is a thing. We want to eliminate that as much as possible. So, like I was saying earlier, a bag or a chair is a really good option to have. Or, if you have a setup like this, what you can do is place the gun against the bench and then lean against the wall. That way, you're eliminating as many points of contact you possibly can, and you're still maintaining a good balance. Now, for those of you who are newer shooters, take your time when you're zeroing a dot. If you're jerking the gun when you shoot, not getting a good trigger press, the zero you have is going to be inaccurate. And it's also going to be all over the place if you're inconsistent. As a starting point, I like to do 3-round groups. That way I can kind of see exactly where I'm at, and then we'll go from there. All right, that's enough talk. Let's go ahead and shoot some rounds. All right, let's see where that first group went. All right, as we can see right here, I'm about 2 inches low, about 1 inch left. Now we're going to go ahead and mark off these shots so we know that these are the previous hits. Now I'm using a pen, but you can use something like a picture It can compare them or even rip off pieces of tape and cover it up. Just something so you know which are previous hits and which are current hits. Now, dots have two ways of adjustment. There is elevation, most often on top, marked with a U, and windage, most often marked on the right side of a dot with an R. Now, there will be an arrow along with a letter. The arrow is basically saying, hey, if you twist the wheel in this way, the dot is either going to go up or right, depending on which side you're on. Now, we can actually use MOA mathematically to our advantage. Like I was saying earlier, one MOA is 1 inch at 100 yards. Now, since our increments are in 1 click equals 1 MOA, and we're at 10 yards, every click we do is going to be 1/10 of an inch on that paper. Now, because we're about 2 inches low, giving 20 clicks in the up direction should put us right about the center. All right, we're going to go ahead and make our adjustments here. All right, I think that was 20. And we're about 1 inch off to the left, so we'll be turning right. 10 clicks. That should get us ballpark. All right, let's go and get ourselves another 3-round group. Again, make sure you're taking your time, getting good trigger presses. Let's see how we did. All right, of course I shoot a little bit of a triangle, so can't guarantee exactly where it is, but we'll shoot a few more groups just to verify that we're at our point of aim. I'd say she's zeroed. Looking good here. It's important to get a group that you're confident with. Now, like I said, remember your purpose. If you're within that 10 to couple yard range, this is a pretty good zero. You don't really need to get any more precise than that. However, if you're your competition guy, you really want to get those 25-yard bullseyes, maybe send it out a little bit further, really make that nice tight grouping. That about does it for today's video. Thanks, as always, for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and check out all our other social media channels. And as always, we'll see you on the range.